I'm Brandon, 39, a factory worker whose life of quiet sacrifice hid a secret that would unravel my family's deepest truths. I work in an aging mechanical workshop where the hum of grinders echoes all day. My job is to operate machines, inspect parts, and fix groaning equipment that's been running since before I was born. My hands are always coated in oil. My knuckles bear scars from years of wrenching metal. Each mark a silent badge of endurance. The scent of steel and lubricant clings to me like an inseparable part of my being. I live in a modest rented apartment on the second floor of an old building at the end of Maple Avenue, far from Burlington Center. The apartment is basic. A living room that doubles as a kitchen with a scratched oak table, a sleeping nook with a squeaky mattress, and a narrow window overlooking a highway buzzing with delivery vans. I've patched the walls myself, and the ceiling holds steady now, a small victory I keep to myself. This is where I return after a 12-hour shift, where I eat a bowl of rice or a turkey sandwich and listen to the radio playing holiday tunes. Snow is falling gently outside, draping the town in white. Winter in Vermont is piercing. A hidden letter in my drawer, written but never sent, begs my parents to see me as their son. Christmas is approaching, and Burlington is aglow with lights and a towering Christmas tree in the city square. But I don't feel the festive spirit. I live simply, frugally, with no grand ambitions. The work is grueling, but it covers rent, groceries, and a little extra to send to my parents when they need it. I am quiet, used to living alone, used to hiding the ache in my heart. But tonight, sitting by the window, watching the snow fall, my heart is unsettled. This Christmas, the family will gather at my parents' house as always. I look forward to it, but I'm also afraid. Afraid of that feeling of being left behind, forgotten like a faint shadow in my own family. I close my eyes, my breath fogging up the glass. I clutch a photo of us as kids, wondering if Tyler ever knew I gave up my dreams for him. My parents are simple working-class people. My father used to work at a textile mill, and my mother stitched at a local garment factory. They retired a few years ago, living in the old house on the edge of town where I grew up. That house is nothing fancy, chipped paint, frost-covered shingles. But to my parents, it's their entire world. They scraped by, raising me and my younger brother, always trying to give us a decent life, even if it meant simple meals of beans and broth. My father, a man of few words, always brightens when he talks about the old days when he was young, strong, and drove the whole family in his beat-up 2002 Sedan. My mother is gentle, but her hands are calloused from years bent over a sewing machine. They aren't rich, but the love they have for me and my brother, I've never doubted it. Yet, I've found notes in Mom's handwriting praising Tyler's potential while questioning if I'd ever amount to anything. My younger brother Tyler is 4 years my junior. He's the complete opposite of me. If I'm quiet and introspective, Tyler is like a spark, vibrant, drawing every eye. He's smart, quick-witted, and has been pampered by our parents since childhood. I remember when we were kids and money was tight. Our parents still managed to buy Tyler new boots for school while I wore my frayed ones through another winter. I didn't resent it. I'm the older brother. Giving way to my younger sibling is normal, but those moments of giving way over time built a wall between me and my family. Tyler was sent to college by our parents while I dropped out in my final year of high school to work as a laborer to help support the family. He graduated full of ambition, dreaming of big projects, but every venture he started failed. One time it was a bakery, another time a software startup. Each time he failed, our parents emptied their savings, even borrowed money to help him get back on his feet. I watched, my heart heavy. It's not that I was jealous. I discovered Tyler had promised them my share of any future success, a vow they believed without asking me. A few years ago, my family's life changed forever. My father had a habit of buying lottery tickets every week, a small pastime he'd kept up since I was a child. Every Thursday evening, on his way home from the textile mill, he'd stop by the gas station at the corner of Pine Street in Burlington and buy a Vermont Lucky for Life ticket for $3.00. He'd joke in his low, gravelly voice, "Who knows, Brandon, maybe one day we'll hit the big time." I'd just smile, thinking it was a harmless little game. Who could have imagined that after more than 25 years, the unthinkable would happen? That night, I was in my apartment, having just finished a bowl of rice when the phone rang. My father's voice on the other end was trembling. a mix of laughter and choked emotion. "Brandon, I won the lottery. $3,500,000, 0 cents." I froze, my hand gripping the phone tightly. $3,500,000, 0 cents, a number I'd never dared to dream of. I was happy, genuinely happy, but a small spark of hope flickered in my heart. I thought maybe they'd found the letter I'd hidden in Dad's Sedan, pleading for fairness. My parents quickly made plans for the money. They bought a new house on the outskirts of Burlington, a much nicer one worth over $600,000. 0 cents. The house had a sprawling lawn, wide windows, and a slate blue roof, worlds apart from the old house with its faded walls and dripping ceiling. I visited, standing in front of the house, my heart swelling with both pride and emptiness. Tyler hinted he'd convinced them to invest in his next venture before sharing with me. My parents invested some of the money in mutual funds and put the rest in savings to live comfortably. And, as always, they focused most of their attention on Tyler, my younger brother. Tyler, with his grand dreams and string of failures, was given yet another chance. They gave him nearly $800,000, 0 cents, to start a biotech distribution company. I wasn't surprised when, just a few months later, the company went bankrupt. Tyler stood before our parents, head bowed, apologizing, but their eyes were still full of trust. "It's okay, you'll try again," my mother said, ruffling his hair as if he were still a child. I stood outside the living room listening, my heart stinging. I wasn't jealous. I overheard Tyler promise them he'd pay me back one day, a lie that cut deeper than their neglect. And me? My parents never mentioned sharing anything with me. One time, I overheard my mother talking to a neighbor in the driveway. "Brandon is fine. He can take care of himself. Tyler needs us more." Those words cut like a blade, slicing into the deepest part of my heart. Fine. I'm fine because I have no other choice. I returned to my apartment, went back to my job at the factory, my hands stained with oil, my heart heavy. I told myself I didn't need the money, just a moment of being valued by my parents, a moment where I wasn't invisible. But I stayed silent, as I have for all 39 years of my life. I didn't ask, didn't demand, didn't complain. I found a journal in the attic where Mom wrote that my sacrifices were expected, not celebrated. I wondered, in my parents' eyes, am I truly their son? This Christmas, the family gathered at my parents' new house. The festive atmosphere was everywhere, a Christmas tree twinkling with lights, the faint scent of cinnamon rolls in the air, and the sound of carols playing from a Bluetooth speaker. I sat on the couch holding a cup of lukewarm tea, watching my parents and Tyler laughing and chatting animatedly. I clutched the sedan keys, knowing they held a secret I hadn't yet uncovered. I tried to smile, but my heart felt weighed down as if tethered to a stone. After dinner, my parents called us into the living room, saying they had a special Christmas gift. My father stood up, his eyes gleaming, and handed Tyler a thick envelope. "This is a grown-up gift for you," he said, his voice brimming with pride. Tyler opened it, his eyes lighting up. The deed to a new condo worth nearly $500,000, 0 cents, located right in the heart of Burlington. "We want you to have a solid foundation," my mother said, embracing him. Tyler beamed, thanking them profusely. I sat there, clapping along with everyone else, but my heart felt like it was being crushed. Then my father turned to me, holding out a set of old, worn keys. "Brandon, this is your gift," he said, his voice softening. "My 2002 sedan, the one that carried our whole family everywhere. To me, it's worth more than that condo." The room fell silent, all eyes on me. I took the keys, cold in my hand, and looked out the window at the old sedan parked in the driveway, its paint chipped, tires bald, windshield cracked in a jagged line. I smiled, nodded, but inside a wave of emotion crashed over me. Worth more than the condo, my father's words cut like a knife, digging into an old wound. For years, I've stepped aside, stayed silent, accepted being invisible. When the family was struggling, I dropped out of school and worked so Tyler could go to college. When my parents won the lottery, I received nothing while Tyler was given luxuries, money, and business opportunities. And now this Christmas, Tyler gets a condo and I get an old sedan, practically ready for the junkyard. I looked at my father, his eyes full of expectation, as if he wanted me to be grateful. I realized the sedan might hold the letter I'd hidden, a truth they'd ignored for years. That night, I returned to my apartment and sat by the window, watching the snow fall. The sedan keys lay on the table, a silent reminder. I thought back to the years gone by, the times I quietly gave way, the times I heard my mother say, "Brandon is fine," the times I watched Tyler being coddled by my parents. I don't want money. I don't want a condo. I just want, for once, to be seen by my parents the way they see Tyler. I sat in quiet reflection by the window, my breath fogging up the glass. I decided to search the sedan, hoping to find my letter and confront them with my truth. But in my heart, there was only a cold, empty void, one that no amount of warmth could fill. I remember the days when I was a child, when our family lived in the old, run-down house on the edge of Burlington. The house was cramped, its walls faded, and in winter it was so cold that our breath formed mist in the bedroom. My parents worked tirelessly, my father at the textile mill, my mother at the garment factory. Money was always tight, and meals were often just boiled lentils and thin stew. But despite the hardships, my parents always gave the best to Tyler. Once, when I was 14, my boots were torn, water seeping into my feet every time I walked to school through the snowy streets. I asked my mother for a new pair, but she shook her head. "Make do, Brandon. We're short on money." The next week, she brought home a shiny pair of sneakers for Tyler, saying he needed good shoes to join the track team at school. I looked at those sneakers, my heart stinging, but I just nodded and kept patching my old boots with tape. Then there was the time Tyler wanted to take guitar lessons, and my parents borrowed money to pay for them, even though we couldn't afford to fix the leaking roof. When Tyler wanted to go on a school ski trip, they scraped together every penny of their savings to make sure he had all the gear he needed. And me, I learned to stay silent, to fend for myself, to stop asking. I'd hidden money in a tin under my bed, saving for skates, but gave it to Tyler for his trip. I thought that when the family was poor, my parents had to prioritize, and I accepted being the one to sacrifice. But when my father won the $3,500,000 zero-cent lottery, nothing changed. I had hoped, naively hoped, that the money would bridge the gap between me and my family. I thought my parents would see the years I quietly devoted to them, the days I worked myself to exhaustion to ease their burden. But no. They bought a new house, invested in mutual funds, saved some money, and poured nearly $800,000, 0 cents, into Tyler's business ventures. Tyler failed, again and again, but my parents still believed in him, still gave him chances. "Tyler has big dreams," my father said, his eyes shining. I found a bank statement showing they'd used my college fund for Tyler's ventures, a betrayal I'd never suspected. One memory stands out vividly. My birthday last year, a few months after my father won the lottery. I didn't expect anything grand, just a warm family dinner together. But that day, Tyler called, saying his company was in trouble. My parents rushed off to help him, leaving me with a small cake and a hasty apology. "Brandon, please understand, Tyler needs us right now." I sat in their new house, blowing out the candles alone, my vision blurring. I didn't cry. I wrote another letter, vowing to leave Burlington, but stayed for Chloe's sake. But that night I asked myself, in my parents' eyes, am I really their son, or just a passerby, always standing on my own, so they don't have to worry? This favoritism has persisted from the days of poverty to the days of wealth. When we were poor, Tyler got new sneakers, guitar lessons, a college education. When we were rich, Tyler got a condo, money, opportunities. And me, whether poor or rich, I remained invisible. The old sedan my father gave me this Christmas was the final straw. He said it was precious, but to me it's a symbol of the injustice that has stretched across 39 years of my life. I looked at the keys on the table, my heart heavy. I don't want money. I don't want a condo. I just want, for once, to be seen by my parents the way they see Tyler, with eyes full of trust and love. I knew the sedan held more than memories. It held my chance to rewrite my story. Outside, the snow keeps falling, blanketing Burlington in white. I close my eyes, the memories fading, leaving behind a cold, empty void. I tell myself I'm used to living alone, used to being invisible, but deep down, I still long for the day when my parents truly see me. A few days after Christmas, I left the old 2002 sedan my father gave me parked in front of my apartment building. It sat there under a thick layer of snow, like a reminder of the wounds in my heart that hadn't yet healed. I didn't want to touch it. Every time I looked at it, I saw my father's eyes, heard his voice saying, "It's worth more than that condo." But by the weekend, the snow stopped falling, and I decided to clean the sedan. After all, it was mine now, and I didn't want it rusting away on Maple Avenue. I put on my coat, grabbed a bucket and a rag, and headed outside. The sedan was a relic. Chipped paint, a long crack running across the windshield. I opened the door and the smell of worn vinyl and dust hit me. The seats were frayed in places, the dashboard coated in grime. I started cleaning, pulling out all sorts of odds and ends, a tattered scarf, a few loose coins, and a pile of old papers stuffed in the glove compartment. I was about to toss them out, but curiosity got the better of me, so I took a look. They were gas receipts, repair invoices, and a stack of old, crumpled lottery tickets mixed in with the papers. I frowned. My father was still buying lottery tickets even after winning $3,500,000 0 cents. I found my letter tucked among them, unopened, alongside a ticket that would change everything. I shook my head, thinking to myself, no way you'd win twice. I brought the stack of tickets into my apartment and spread them out on the kitchen table. Most were Vermont Lucky for Life tickets bought anywhere from a few months to a few years ago, all either expired or worthless. I checked each one, over 40 tickets, using an app on my phone just to pass the time. No surprises there, they were all duds until the last one. That ticket was different. Not crumpled like the others, as if it had been carefully tucked away. The purchase date was 6 months ago, still within the redemption period. I scanned the code with the app, not expecting anything, but when the phone screen lit up, my heart stopped. "Congratulations, you've won the $7 million 0 cents jackpot." I stared, my breath catching in my throat. $7 million, 0 cents. I checked again, mainly entering the numbers on the Vermont Lottery website. Every single number matched the jackpot results perfectly. The ticket, unsigned and pristine, was in my hands. I sank into a chair, my mind reeling. Was this real? A lottery ticket forgotten in the old sedan my father gave me, worth $7 million, 0 cents? I laughed, but tears welled up. For years I'd lived quietly, accepting my role as the invisible one, enduring the unfairness. Now, in the most unexpected moment, fate had handed me a life-changing opportunity. I held the ticket, my hands trembling, and signed my name Brandon Hayes on it. The unopened letter beside it confirmed they'd known my pain but chose to ignore it. The next day I drove to the Vermont Lottery office in Montpelier, 45 minutes from Burlington. I wore my old coat and a knit cap, trying to stay calm, but my heart was pounding. The lottery ticket was in my coat pocket, carefully sealed in a plastic bag. At the counter, the staff checked the ticket, their eyes lighting up as they confirmed, "Congratulations, you've won the $7 million 0 cents jackpot." They led me to a private room and explained the claim process. I chose to take the lump sum, which, after taxes, came to about $4,200,000, 0 cents, a sum large enough to change my entire life. But what I didn't expect was the media attention. The Vermont Lottery wanted to publicize my story. A factory worker who received an old sedan as a Christmas gift and stumbled upon a jackpot-winning ticket. I agreed, not because I craved fame, but because I wanted the world to know I wasn't invisible. A week later, I appeared on local television, standing in front of the cameras, recounting the story. "I was just cleaning the sedan, found the ticket, and my life changed," I said, forcing a smile. The reporter asked about the sedan, about my father, but I kept my answers brief. It was a gift from my dad. I didn't expect it to be this valuable. The news spread quickly. The local paper ran a headline: "Burlington worker hits jackpot with ticket found in old sedan." The interview video was shared across social media. I became the talk of Burlington, from the diner on Pine Street to the mechanical workshop where I worked. Colleagues patted me on the back, offering congratulations, but I just nodded. I held the letter, planning to confront my family, to demand they acknowledge my years of silence. I wasn't used to the spotlight, wasn't used to being noticed. But deep down, I felt a sliver of relief. For the first time, I was seen. Then my family found out. One evening, as I sat in my apartment, my phone rang incessantly. It was my mother. "Brandon, is it true you won the lottery? $7 million, 0 cents? Her voice trembled, laced with shock and something I couldn't quite name. I replied, "Yes, it's true. I found the ticket in the sedan Dad gave me." She fell silent, then said, "Your father wants to see you. We all need to talk." The next day, I went to my parents' new house. They were sitting in the living room, Tyler leaning against the wall, his face tense. My father spoke first, his voice low but sharp. "Brandon, that ticket belongs to me. I bought it, left it in the sedan. You need to give it back, or at least share most of it with the family." My mother nodded, her eyes full of hope. "We're family, Brandon. You can't keep it all." I looked at them, my heart turning cold. For years, I'd stayed silent, stepped aside, accepted being invisible. They gave Tyler a condo, money, opportunities, while I got an old sedan and empty words. Now, when I had a chance to change my life, they wanted to take it away. I took a deep breath, my voice steady. "The sedan is mine, Dad. You gave it to me. The ticket was in it with no name on it. If you said the sedan was worth more than a condo, well, now it truly is." My father froze, his face reddening. My mother burst into tears, repeating, "We're family, Brandon." Tyler stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You can't be this selfish, Brandon. That money belongs to all of us." I looked at them, each one, and for the first time, I didn't lower my head. "All of us," I said, my voice catching. "This family has never seen me. Don't expect me to share what I found." I left the house without looking back. On television, my story continued to air, replayed over and over. My family watched, and I know they were stunned. My parents, Tyler, even the neighbors who once heard my mother say, "Brandon is fine," now saw me, the oil-stained worker, standing in the spotlight, holding $4,200,000, 0 cents in my hands. I didn't boast, didn't gloat. I mailed the letter to them, unopened, with a note. "Read this, then tell me I'm selfish." 3 years have passed since I won the $7 million 0 cents lottery. I'm no longer the oil-stained Brandon working 12-hour shifts at the mechanical workshop. With the after-tax money, I invested carefully. I bought a modest but warm house on the edge of Burlington, set up a savings fund, and put money into a few small business ventures, mainly a tire repair shop. I learned from my years of hardship not to spend recklessly, not to chase unrealistic dreams. My life is stable, not extravagant, but fulfilling. I still live quietly, steering clear of the media spotlight, keeping only a few close friends from the old workshop days. But my family, they took a different path. After the day I refused to share the lottery winnings, my parents and Tyler stopped talking to me. I heard about them through neighbors, through stories that circulated in Burlington. The $3,500,000, 0 cents from my father's lottery win gradually dwindled. My parents lived more lavishly, buying luxury appliances, traveling abroad, throwing extravagant parties to show off to friends. Tyler, as usual, pursued impractical business ventures. He started a crypto startup, borrowing money left and right, but within months, it went bankrupt. My parents bailed him out again, even mortgaging their new house to pay off his debts. I learned about this one afternoon when my mother called. Her voice was frail, lacking the confidence it once had. "Brandon, we're in trouble. The bank is about to foreclose. Tyler needs money to pay off debts. Can you help us?" I stayed silent, looking out the window of my house, where sunlight fell on the small maple tree I'd planted in the yard. I'd received no reply to my letter, only silence, confirming they'd never truly seen me. After all, they were still my parents. I agreed to pay off the mortgage, saving the house for them. I didn't do it for their gratitude, but because I didn't want to see them homeless. But I made it clear, this is the last time I'll help. You need to manage your money more carefully. My mother cried, made promises, but I knew deep down nothing would change. I was right. Just a year later, the family went bankrupt again. My parents continued their lavish spending, buying a new SUV, designer furniture, throwing parties. Tyler, learning nothing from his failures, borrowed more money to start another project, this time a blockchain app. It failed, dragging them into massive debt. The new house, which I had paid to save, was mortgaged again. This time, the bank foreclosed. My parents moved back to the old house with its chipped walls and leaking roof, the place where I grew up. Tyler, out of money, took a part-time job at a gas station. They came to see me one more time on a snowy evening. My father, mother, and Tyler stood at my doorstep, looking more worn than ever. My father spoke first, his voice subdued. "Brandon, we were wrong. Can you help us one more time?" My mother bowed her head, tears streaming down her face. Tyler said nothing, just stared at the ground. I stood there, looking at them, the people who once saw me as invisible, who demanded I share the money I found. My heart was heavy, but I shook my head. "I helped once," I said, my voice calm. "You chose your way of life, chose to prioritize Tyler, chose to spend without thinking of tomorrow. I can't keep fixing your mistakes." My mother sobbed. My father held her hand, and Tyler turned away. They left my house, their figures fading into the white snow. I closed the door, sat on the couch, my heart empty. I didn't gloat, didn't feel joy, only a deep sadness. They were my family, but I couldn't keep being the one to sacrifice. Time passed and my life grew brighter. I married Emily, a librarian in Burlington, who always makes me laugh with stories about her book club. We have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, well-behaved, healthy, and always filling our small house with energy. Every evening, I sit with Emily, watching the kids play, my heart full of a peace I'd never known before. I'm not rich like a billionaire, but I have a family, a home, and that's all I need. I still live quietly, not boasting about the lottery money or my changed life. Sometimes I drive by the old workshop, remembering the days of oil-stained hands, the long night shifts. I have no regrets. Those days taught me how to stand strong, how to cherish what I have. My family, my parents and Tyler, no longer contact me. I hear they're struggling, my parents taking odd jobs to get by. Tyler still grappling with unfulfilled dreams. Once, I ran into my mother at the grocery store on Pine Street. She had aged so much, her hair white, her eyes cloudy. She looked at me, her gaze a mix of regret and distance. "Brandon, are you doing okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. I nodded, smiled. "I'm fine, Mom." I wanted to ask if they'd read my letter, but I knew their silence was answer enough. I turned away, leaving her standing there among the crowded shelves. I've learned fairness isn't owed, it's earned through love that sees everyone equally. My parents chose Tyler and I chose myself, not out of spite, but survival. The lottery gave me freedom, but Emily and our kids give me purpose. I still wonder if Tyler kept his promises to them, or if my parents ever regretted their notes. My life isn't perfect. Bills pile up and old wounds ache in the quiet, but I'm visible now, to those who matter. Every Christmas, I hold my daughter's hand, her trust a light that outshines any jackpot, and I know I've built a family where no one is invisible.